With the new turtle sanctuary coming to Otter Creek, lots of people have lots of questions, and it just so happens I might have the answers. Christine Lucas brings up a phenomenal point here. She says, in order for him to be bright enough, meaning John Crook, a light bulb would need to be installed in the first place. And as far as him having sepsis, could it be from all the trash and contamination of their own property? Now we're on to something. So for those who don't remember, LIEnette has claimed, I know, she lied about it. Even the peacocks know LIEnette is a pathological, habitual liar. She claimed John Crook had sepsis in the brain, of all places. Now, I can't argue that because the things that come out of that man's mind seem a little septus. But could it be from the property? Okay, so let's see. They're putting their own poop on the property, their own pee on the property. They are letting turtles live in their own feces and urine, and then who knows where they're putting it if they actually ever do clean out any of the enclosures. So you have to think about that too. 1.66 acres, right number there, right? Except there's missing a 6. Let's say it's 1.666 acres for the cultist, oh my goodness, the pole dancing minister and all of her turtle soup drinkers and followers. They're putting this poop where? And so now they want to grow a garden in sand. Okay, to do that, you got to have soil. Okay, you got to have fertilization. Okay, and a child is around all of this with a so-called life-threatening condition, and John Crook is a life-threatening condition. LIEnette claims she's in a life-threatening situation with him as well. Yeah, I think probably the property and probably a whole lot of other things as well. Lori Cox says, Jeremy, if it costs you $150,000 for this huge mess for absolutely nothing right now, meaning Florida, Levy County Sheriff Department has done nothing. When no one does anything, when they break the law, pathetic, don't you think? Lori, not only is it pathetic, it's illegal. And it shows the good old boy corrupt system in Florida, particularly Levy County. Now, I know there's corruption all over the world. It's not just at town level, village level, city level, county level, state level, federal level. But I don't see all of those things. I walked into Otter Creek and saw what was going on and turned my camera on. Now, there are those that will say, Jeremy, you're the reason all of this is going on. No, it's always been going on. I'm the reason why the rest of the planet knows it's going on. And stalking has always gone on. And I'm the reason the planet knows about the stalkers in Otter Creek. And I don't want any more. None. $155,000 so far out of my pocket for legal fees, which is mind-blowing. It's astounding to even think about that. The positive part is this. Number one, Judge Craig DeThomasis is in the process of being recused and removed from the county case by the higher court, the appellate courts. Now, you may be thinking, is that guaranteed? 99.99999%, they're giving LIEnette an opportunity to actually give them a legal reason why they shouldn't remove him, which there is no legal reason. Everything he's done has been immoral and illegal. Unfortunately, I can't sue the judge for that and recoup, get back, somehow retain some of my legal fees. I'm going to have to get it from the state. The entire state of Florida is going to be held responsible for one corrupt individual judge's actions. And you have to remember, I'm still in federal court as well, where she's being sued for extortation and defamation, torts, and the list is pretty long, okay? And so federal court is by no stretch of the imagination done. It's not an exaggeration to say at the end of this, I could be upwards to $500,000 in legal fees. That's not an exaggeration because nobody knows where it ends. Nobody knows where it goes. Now, we would hope that in the county court system, the new judge, which already have been briefed on the new judge that will be appointed. He does not put up with garbage or crap coming out of people's mouths like LIEnette. It just spews. Where DeThomas's was like, tell me more, let me act as your lawyer. Now let me put Jeremy on the witness stand even though I'm not his lawyer and I'm going to cross-examine him. Not okay. And so this new judge, just like the judge in Ohio, isn't going to tolerate this garbage. I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked, if it isn't thrown out immediately, because she can't file a case and then claim the Fifth Amendment. Those two don't go together. You get one or the other. You either file a case and you speak, or you file a case and you don't speak. No, the Fifth Amendment doesn't work that way. The law doesn't work that way. You don't get your cake and eat it too. So she can't claim the Fifth Amendment and have a case. So it should be immediately thrown out of the court system. And how do I get that money back? Well, it comes down to suing the state and for the sheriff not doing what they legally, both state level and federal level, should have done in the first place. And I got a feeling that state leaders, federal leaders aren't going to be too happy with the Levy County Sheriff Department. User RC4, we'll just end it right there. RC4 wants to know if LIEnette CROOK don't show up for court in Ohio, which they will be served here any day now. Can the judge swear out a failure to appear warrant? Yeah, that can happen. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. Number one, you have to realize they already have fines. So LIEnette has $50 fine for contempt of court. CROOK has a $100 fine for contempt of court for both of them violating and breaking the civil protection orders in Ohio, which is funny for the exact same things that Florida just ignored. Completely and totally ignored and said, this isn't a violation. And yet Ohio said, this is absolutely a violation. They're going to be held in contempt. Odd, don't you think? But what can happen if they don't pay that fine? Okay, so that's $150. And right now they're going, we live in Florida. We don't live in Ohio. They're going, F Ohio. I don't think it's going to work that way. So a warrant can be placed for their arrest just for not paying those fines. Now, typically the court system is going to be lenient in the beginning, and then their tolerance, this is like a relationship, right? If you've ever been in a relationship, which I'm assuming most of you have, person does something to you once, you're a little bit more tolerant. You're like, you know what? I forgive you. Does it again, you're like, this is really odd. This is a pattern and it's not okay. And things better start changing. Does it again, you're like, you do this one more time and you have no idea what's going to happen. And then they do it again and then all hell's breaks loose, right? You've seen this in your own personal lives. Well, this is what happens in the court system as well. Judge is going to go, okay, I'm going to be a little lenient with you. And then that leniency wears off very, very quickly, especially with CROOK and LIEnette, who have lied consistently and constantly under oath. All of their lies are going to be used against them in federal court and county court in Florida. And the list goes on and on. So how long can this truly go on? I don't know where it all ends. What I do know is I'm ready for it to end, and it should have never even begun. If LIEnette and CROOK were as good as they want the world to think they are, none of this garbage would have ever happened in the first place. Christy Crenshaw wants to know how in the planet, not the world, are they not taking this child from LIEnette and CROOK? Okay, and goes on to say, if I walked into an agency and I said I would like to adopt a child and I lived in a shed, they would call me crazy and laugh me out of that room. So how's this little girl, this poor baby that LIEnette calls, still in with her, baffles Christy's mind. Okay, so let's share this with you, Christy. So a little bit more investigation on the what the hell side of things. Here's what we've learned. The head or lead investigator in the Levy County Children's Services Department is married to one of the county commissioners. All right, so let's start right there, okay? So at the county level, you have a county commissioner named Tim Hodge, and that county commissioner is married to the Children's Services lead investigator. Nothing out of the ordinary there, right? Okay, well, hold a second. That county commissioner is serving with two Meeks. You've got Rocky Meeks, son of Russell Meeks, and you got John Meeks, cousin of Russell Meeks. Now, if you go to the Meeks connection, which then we get into the town of Otter Creek, where they do anything they want to do, and this man is literally using water and the mayorship to try and get any adult personal favors he can from females in Otter Creek. As gross as it is. Okay, so let's connect all the dots. Meeks, Hodge, now Otter Creek, and where's LIEnette and Crook? Otter Creek. Who does Russ the Sus need to maintain power? The two people that were actually defaming him and putting up illegal signs in the first place about Russell Meeks, Mary, Stewart, and the list goes on. And so we see this all coming full circle in the good old boy system to Otter Creek and the county level. Tim Hodge, who's married to the chief investigator, the lead investigator of Children's Services. You tell me there isn't something wrong there. That's why the child is still within their care and is still being neglected, in my opinion, and still being abused, in my opinion, because I've seen it, the physical abuse, with my own eyes. I've seen the property with my own eyes. I've smelled the stench, the rot, the gross, the manure with my own eyes. This is my testimony I'm giving. Yeah, and they even know it's true. That's how sad this whole system of corruption is. Denise Santiago. I love that. Santiago. Anything with an ago at the end just sounds so ago. I love it. Okay. She says, can they file bankruptcy so they don't have to pay anything to you and George? Okay. So first of all, we've gotta get to the aspect of, can they file bankruptcy? So there are certain legal requirements to be able to file bankruptcy in the first place, and it costs money to file bankruptcy. I'm not sure that a lot of people know that or not, but you actually have to pay to file bankruptcy. Now, you typically also pay a lawyer or a firm, or you probably could do that yourself as well, but you have to meet requirements to file bankruptcy. So the first question we've got to ask, if they are struggling, as much as LIEnette has said, they can't even afford to pay them, to feed themselves or the baby, let alone the animals, have they already filed bankruptcy in the past? Now, I know that answer, they know that answer, and I'll share it with you later. But don't you think that they would have done that already? If they were as hard up as they say they are, literally hundreds of GoFundMes posted for everything you can literally think of. Don't you think they would have already filed bankruptcy? Okay, so that tells you something. If they haven't yet, that means they didn't meet the requirements. Okay, if they didn't meet the requirements, what does that tell you? They're scamming. They're conning. They don't meet the requirements. I mean, these are individuals that will use and abuse every system that's in place to help people. Now, there are people that genuinely, absolutely need that help. And then they work to get themselves off of that help. And some people even pay back to the organizations and even the government that helped them. Or they go, you know what, you helped me during this tough time. I want to be a help to you and others. Okay? And so there are people who legitimately need this. LIEnette and Crook aren't those people. They're not. It's just another scam. It's another con. It's another way to try and rip people off, which is why the turtles. They're not running a turtle rescue. They're not running a tortoise rescue. They're attempting to have a 501c3 illegally. They're doing a lot of illegal actions. I've pointed out a lot of those in my videos already. And so they're only doing that so they can get out of paying taxes, keep more money. It's another scam. It's another con. The same reason why having a child with a life-threatening and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Why not adopt a normal child that doesn't have any life-threatening? Let me say this as a parenthesis note. This child is normal. Completely and totally normal. And most parents, any other parent other than LIEnette and Crook, would raise the child knowing she is normal, knowing that she is not going to die at any moment, scaring her to death with those words, life-threatening, anything could kill her, and all of those things. That's abuse. That is verbal abuse of a child, telling them that they could die, anything could kill them, and the list goes on and on. They're using the child to try and get money. So can they declare bankruptcy? You can only declare bankruptcy if you actually meet the requirements, the legal requirements for bankruptcy. It's the only time you can. And even then, they're already in court, okay? So let's say LIEnette and Crook go, ha ha ha, we have the ultimate plan. Jeremy's not getting anything. We're going to declare bankruptcy. We'll show him. The court's going to look at this and go, okay, let's look at the timeline. You're in court, you know you're going to lose, then you file for bankruptcy and da-da-da-da-da-da. It really doesn't matter. The court is going to look at it and go, nah, this ain't going to fly. Nope. The court, the federal court, can and will seize every asset, every dollar they have to pay sanctions or settlement to me for what they've done to me. So they can declare bankruptcy and still keep the Jeep. Now, what does that do for them? Well, they're no longer making a payment on the Jeep. They can declare bankruptcy, still keep the camper. So what does that do for them? They're no longer making a payment on the camper. It doesn't matter to me whether they declare bankruptcy or not. The federal government's going to seize it all, including property, especially for all those people that continue to say, oh, you can't seize property in Florida. Oh, my goodness, these armchair lawyers that have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. No clue. I can guarantee you the federal government can and will be seizing property in Florida, and I will be paid sanctions through that. It'll be seized, it'll go up for auction. Any funds made will come directly to me. Now you can go, well, Jeremy, do you want it to go up for auction? What if the property only sells for $1? Well, if it sells for $1, that's about $1 too much for that piece of property. Don Brazil says, okay, so we learned that LIEnette knows how to use copy and paste, specifically talking about the documents sent to the federal court, and without using a pencil and Elmer's glue. Is there a third person helping them? Well, that's part of the thing that's going to be revealed in different proceedings during the courts. So you've got lots of things coming up, right? So number one, yes, there have been people helping them. And my response to that is great. All these individuals have done is further incriminate Crook and LIEnette. And it's hilarious. I mean, that's how I get through all of this. I laugh at the insanity of it. I laugh at the foolish ignorance of it. And so we've seen that whole process even in the federal case. So LIEnette and Crook, they file and say, oh no, you can't have this case in the federal court. Jeremy's residency is in Ohio. He's a full-time resident of Florida. And then they misquote actual case proving their point, which doesn't prove their point because they use the case inappropriately. That's somebody else. LIEnette is not that smart. LIEnette, the one who has lied to everybody, saying that she actually graduated early to go on to college. Like she's some Doogie Howser of tortoises and turtles. It's all a lie. She dropped out. She went back, got her GED, and then she dropped out of college as well. She didn't even get through the first semester. Okay, so is somebody helping them? Yes. You got that giant stain in the back of your underwear. Fellas, you know what I'm talking about. You know, it's funny. Ladies take their panties off. You never see a stain. I take my boxers off 5 minutes after putting them on, and there's bacon strips everywhere. That's who's helping them. Shart, okay? But it's not only Shart. You got Marli Huge. You've got Lizzie Bailey. You've got this group of foolish individuals that truly have only incriminated them further. So while they call it help, and while others may see it as help, me and my legal team are laughing at it because it's literally hilarious. The ignorance, the foolishness. You've heard me say this before. Birds of a feather flock together. And so what happens is successful people surround themselves with successful people. Truly, if you want to be successful, find other successful people. A rising tide raises all ships. If you want to fail in life, find other failures. And what are LIEnette and Crook? Failures. Align yourselves with LIEnette and Crook, and you will sink with the tides as well. Me personally, in my life, I have to make sure that people who want to take me down or could take me down aren't a part of my life. And I have to make sure that in my life, I'm bringing people up as well. I'm responsible for making sure they live their best life up to their greatest potential and that they don't bring me down to my worst potential. Jim Dira says, man, this is a lawyer's wet dream. Woo! Woo! Asking LIEnette and Crook, were you lying then or were you lying now? Now, you understand where Jim is going, right? Let's look at all the inconsistencies. My mom died. My mom didn't die. Okay, well, were you lying then? Were you lying now? And we could look at so many more inconsistencies within their testimony. Oh, I didn't say suck my quack. And then it's, I told LIEnette to suck my quack. All the inconsistencies. LIEnette, I'm on the phone with the victim's advocate in Ohio, which the victim's advocate would be working with me in Ohio. It's me that's the victim of LIEnette and Crook. She was never on the phone. She can't film and be on the phone at the exact same time with the victim's advocate. So is she lying then or is she lying now? I mean, we could go on and on and on, right? My lawyer told me to be at town hall. What do you think she's going to say in the next court hearing? That her lawyer told her to be in town hall, which, by the way, all of this is being used against her. She will be under oath. If she even shows, she will be under oath. It will all be used against her in court, which she knows. She's watching. And Craig DeThomasis is watching. Silver Scam is watching. She knows. And still, with me being so gracious, with me being so patient, and literally telling them I am going to use this against them in court, they're still going to do it. That's how incredibly dumb they are. And some may say, Jeremy, that's not very Christian-like to say dumb. Okay, let's see. I will say it like Jesus said. That's how whitewashed sepulchres they are. That's how these individuals who claim they love Jesus but they don't know him are. I could say a whole lot more like vipers and a whole lot more derogatory terms that Jesus called and stated in Scripture against people just like Crook, people just like LIEnette, people just like DeThomasis, people just like Silver Scam. Jesus didn't put up with crap. Danielle wants to know, or Daniel, it's like Daniel in the lion's den. We were just talking about Jesus in the Bible. Daniel in the lion's den. So much faith against so much opposition. And the angels are there and hold the lion's mouth shut. And he comes out safe. And I feel like that sometimes. As a matter of fact, one of my lawyers once asked me, he's like, Jeremy, how do you have so much joy in all the adversity in your life? And they particularly said, you remind me of Job. You're finding joy in all of it. And I think that's the important part, is finding joy and things to laugh about. And Daniel says, my question is, if they're unable to pay you in George and go to jail, can you get their property as partial payment? Now, I've already mentioned this, okay? And so this is extremely important. So there are those on the side saying, Jeremy keeps saying that the federal government's going to seize their property. It's Florida. Why do you think Mike Tyson went to Florida? Why do you think OJ went to Florida? Why do you think this person went to Florida? Because you can't seize property. Yeah, you can. So simple as that. Yeah, you can. Now their defense is, oh, they're homesteading. They're homesteading. Yep. So? It means very, very little in the aspect of what you are allowed to homestead and what isn't homestead in regards to what the federal government can seize and what the federal government won't seize. And so the answer, again, is unequivocally yes. The federal government will seize property. It will auction off property. And I joked before saying $1 would be too much for that property. Who do you think the highest bidder of the property is going to be? It's going to be me. Obviously, I'm going to go and bid on it, right? I don't want another LIEnette and Crook. As a matter of fact, at this point, I'd prefer to buy up all of Otter Creek so nobody could ever live next to me. This is what it's like living with no neighbors. It's very peaceful. It's very tranquil. It's very good for my soul. With all the birds, with all of nature. I literally just had a baby deer jump out of the woods and beg me for some loving. That's how good it is at Hale's headquarters. Let me show you a little bit of that. This baby deer, I'm at the peacock. Right here, boy. Come here, baby. Just came running up to me out of the woods. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Come on. I just pet him. Come on. There's Daddy Titmouse right there. And then Mama Titmouse is right there on 5 eggs. There's a wild turkey right by my waterfall, right there. And I don't know, that's a hen. I don't know if she laid eggs or what, but she's just chilling right there. She might have laid a nest. Oh my goodness, she might have laid a nest. I'm gonna try opening the window and see. Oh, no, it does have a beard. That's a boy. And he's injured. Whoa. Did I just see an egg drop? He's injured. It looks as if, yep, he's limping. He's injured. I'm outside now. I'm gonna go see if I can find him. He's been hanging around. And that's good because he knows Hale's headquarters is a safe place. But he could also be hanging around because he knows the peacocks are there. I'm zoomed in. Oh, I see him through the office windows. I'm zoomed in so I don't have anti-stabilization on. Here he is. He's right up there and he's hobbling. He's right there hobbling. He's not okay. I don't know if I can catch him. And oh, he's not okay. He's hurt. Georgie Campbell wants to know, tell us if you can, Jeremy, are you going to end up suing Levy County Sheriff for the refusal to follow the Ohio restraining order and the state district attorney for telling Levy County cops not to enforce the protection order from Ohio? Well, Georgie Campbell, wouldn't you? I mean, this is fundamental accountability. This is insanity to think that a state attorney, number one, would tell the deputies not to enforce something that state law says they must and federal law says they must. And then you have to ask yourself the question, how in the world does this individual become the attorney, right? I mean, literally, how did this person become the attorney when they're breaking such belligerent, just outright, the words escape me. I'm sure some of you can think of the words right now, who this person is, what this person is about. I mean, this isn't miscommunication. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is obvious. This is such blatant disrespect for the law that how could this person even stay in this position? And then to incriminate themselves, to put it in writing, you have to literally ask yourself, how above the law do these people think they are? And then to know that you're a deputy, okay? So now the deputies are in the middle of the state attorney saying, don't do anything. And then you've got Jeremy saying, you legally have to do something. And a deputy in the middle going, I took an oath to serve and protect. My superiors are telling me doing nothing. This person that I took an oath to serve and protect is telling me I legally have to do something. And they're not lawyers. And so in some regard, some of the deputies, I just go, there's grace. They aren't lawyers. They don't know the law. And many of them are going to pretend that they do. But the reality is it comes down to, they will tell you, usually, they don't know the law. A lot of times they'll tell you, this isn't criminal, this is civil. And I'll go, okay, well, this isn't civil, this is criminal. This is obviously criminal, right? There are those deputies that just don't want to do their job. It's out of laziness. It's out of, there's more important things. And there's more important things in the world than a civil protection order. Unless all of a sudden that civil protection order fails because they did not honor and enforce it, they actually empowered LIEnette and Crook to actually unalive me, or George, or somebody else in my sphere of influence, because that's what's happening. They are getting bolder and bolder and bolder in all the things they're saying and they're doing. The third party contact and communication, the constant harassment, and the list goes on. And it could have all been nipped in the bud immediately. If number one, they never started. Number two, if they would have honored the cease and desist. Number three, I mean, we could keep going on and on and on, right? All the way to Levy County Sheriff should have actually enforced it. They should have been arrested how many times now? I mean, literally, how many times have you seen in video format that they should have been arrested? Which, by the way, LIEnette just broke the civil protection order again. She pulled out of the property, and George was on my property, particularly in Tubetown, baby, population 1, with the mayor and with Deanna. And LIEnette, in her vehicle, yells at George mockingly, harassingly, and says, "Oh, you're so scared!" Again, breaking the civil protection order. So, is LIEnette scared, like she claims she is, of George and myself, to continue to constantly, literally break a civil protection order, which is ultimately, in my opinion, and I'm sure many of yours, going to land her in jail? She obviously doesn't feel scared to continue to break it because she knows Levy County Sheriff aren't going to do anything about it. It's Ohio that's going to do something about it. And it's us that's going to do something about it. If Ohio goes warrant for arrest, I will hire a bounty hunter to go and get them and bring them back to Ohio. Now, keep in mind, I will do everything within the constraints of the law. I will not do anything illegal. I will do everything legally. Now, I know you thought I was going to say I would do things illegally, but I'm not that type of person. I'm not a LIEnette. I'm not a crook. I'm actually a person that loves people and loves to help people, but hates when people take advantage of me, they steal from me, they lie to me, and that list can go on and on. They defame me. Do you understand? They tried to destroy my entire reputation. It takes one female to say the wrong thing about one male, and their life is over. Avocado Man says, "Hold up, wait a minute, put a little crook in it." He's got a question, and it's about Crook. Avocado Man says, "I thought Crook was disabled. How could he build a house?" Oh, you mean in those federal court documents when he told a judge, "I can't build a house because of Jeremy." And LIEnette told the judge in the federal court, "I can't build a house because of Jeremy." Or in the county court case, "I can't build a house because of Jeremy." How they continue to keep saying they can't build a house because of me? Well, Avocado Man, you're right. They keep saying they're disabled. And that could go back to where the wet dream of the lawyer saying, are you lying now or are you lying beforehand? You're either disabled or you can build a house. Which one is it? Okay. It costs money to build a house, and they're forever asking for money, saying they need money to feed and tend to turtles, long before any of this started. So what does this have to do with Jeremy now? They never had money to begin with. Absolutely correct. They've never had money. And everybody wants to know, well, how did they have that Jeep Gladiator? Okay. So the way they got the Jeep Gladiator, they made up their mind. They were going to stalk me to Otter Creek. They put their condo up for sale, which they bought cheap, and they got more money for it than they actually bought it for. Now, they still owed $60,000 on it. Now, she keeps saying it was beautifully remodeled, paid off, which is a lie. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? We have all the financial paperwork. $60,000 went to pay the place off. They were left with the money afterwards, which they split 50-50. She goes out and spends money on a Jeep Gladiator and a new camper, which both have a loan on. Okay? Now, you would think if they can't afford to feed themselves, especially a young child, that they would actually sell the Jeep Gladiator and get something more affordable, more economical. That they would actually live in a home, not a shed. Maybe sell the shed. Maybe sell the camper and put it into a home. But they haven't, because everything's my fault. Somehow, some way, their entire life problems revolve around Jeremy Hales. And yet, I'm not the one that decided to stalk me to Otter Creek. It was them that decided to stalk me to Otter Creek. It was them that decided to extort me in Otter Creek. Give me money, give me what I want, or I will destroy your reputation. I will tell everybody you're an Ohio rapist. Now, don't get me wrong. I got some skills when I'm rapping. But Even when I'm dropping them rhymes, I don't like the way that they're communicating it to people, because we all understand it's not rapping, it's that other R word. And it's not the R word we're not allowed to say, even though LIEnette has called her own allies that R word. These are the type of people that you're dealing with, right? Who want to play victim, who claim that it's everybody else's fault except their own. And you know those type of people. They make their bed and then they're unwilling to sleep in it. They create all this chaos, all this drama, all these problems. It's not their fault, right? It's not their fault. You know those people in your life and you try and stay away from them. I know those people in my life and I try and stay away from them. Actually, I'm a little more stupid than that. I try and help them until it gets to a point of I want to stay away from them. Because the reality is, if they don't want to help themselves, they will never, ever grow. It will always be somebody else's fault, somebody else's problem. And it's not you who's going to be the solution to their problems. Because so often people like me and people like you stick around trying to help them until they drain you of everything. And I'm not talking about resources and money, although that happens a lot. I'm talking about your entire personality of who you are. They exhaust you to no end until you can't take it anymore. And that's how we ended up in court, because they were given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Of course, they're going to blame me that they're in court. Of course, they're going to blame me that they're in 3 courts with me, but there's going to be more courts coming. Of course, they're going to blame me. And yet it was them who did absolutely everything. So, disabled and building a house. Not only that, Crook, who claims to be disabled, just put the sign up again. And this time it doesn't say anything negative about Russ the Sus, Stewart, Attorney Worm, Mary, or even What the Hales. This time it looks literally like a toddler painted it, pointing towards my property, Tubetown, instead of passerbys to even see what it says. You're never going to believe it. It literally looks like a child did it. Ruth, I can't even pronounce it, or not even going to try, wants to know, Jeremy, what happened to you asking the Ohio judge to take away their pew-pews, their bang sticks? Well, my lawyer did ask the judge to do that. And to my knowledge, well, we do know we asked for an extension, an increased amount of time on the actual civil protection orders. And they were at 2, and we asked for the bang sticks to be taken away at the first hearing, when we also asked for 5 years. That's maximum in Ohio, which Florida's maximum is indefinite. It could be for life. You can have a for life injunction. Ohio, the maximum is 5 years, then you ask for another one. So different states, different laws, but they all adhere to federal law. You can't take your state law and jump over federal law, okay? And so we did ask the judge for that. And the judge in the contempt of court hearing appears as though the judge did take that 2 years and increase it to 5. In both of their contempt of court motion, well, it's orders. It's the orders of guilt, and it's the orders of the fines. The judge actually makes mention of 5 years, saying this 5-year protection order is still in full effect. In other words, warning them, you're in trouble, don't do it again. But at no point did I actually see in the paperwork that she took away the bang sticks. So that is concerning for sure. And of course, we're going back to court for another hearing. So this next hearing will have the aspect of they broke the civil protection order for an hour and a half. As soon as they see George, as soon as they see me, they are to remove themselves as fast and as quick as possible. And they ignored it for an hour and a half. How do you think the judge is going to feel about that after they've already been found guilty of breaking the civil protection order so many times before? And not only that, then she goes on to communicate with George again. So, and I forgot, the other thing that my lawyer is going to bring up for contempt of court is LIEnette. When we were pulling out of Walmart, LIEnette was pulling in Walmart. LIEnette had both her hands on their steering wheel, and then she flipped us both off, like this on the steering wheel. And so we have that as well for court. So there's 3 contempt of courts. Number 1, you're number one, which we know, we get that. She's a huge fan. She didn't get what she wanted from us, and she wants to continue to remind us we're number 1 to her, okay? We understand. She's obsessed. She is completely and totally obsessed with us and can't let it go. And then you got town hall, hour and a half. Then you have her communicating with George again, pulling out. These are all issues that are going to be brought up in the court again. And what we're going to ask yet again is the boom sticks need to be taken away. So you already have the first court hearing where we said, please take them away. This is an issue. And they weren't taken away. Second one, where I don't know that they were taken away. And if they were, an order would have been sent to the Levy County Sheriff for them to actually collect them, which doesn't necessarily mean that Levy County Sheriff would actually do what an Ohio order stated and told them they had to do, because we've already seen that as a problem, right? But that hopefully won't be an issue if this next time around she does make that order. Again, to my knowledge, this past time she didn't make the order, but we're going to push for it, and we're going to push for it hard this next time in court. Teresa Watkins wants to know, Jeremy, isn't them using your videos in court copyright infringement? Okay, so this is a really good question. And Teresa Watkins says, I'm just curious, I want to know. So you have to understand copyright infringement laws first of all, okay? So here's the thing. People who often infringe on copyright, they claim fair use, fair use. Okay, so they seem to think they know everything about fair use. That's what they do. They scream and yell, fair use, I can do it, I can do whatever I want under fair use. Wrong. And yet you never hear them say anything about copyright law. Okay, so copyright law is very, very simple. You have tangible property. For example, this is tangible. I can touch it. This is physical property. I put ketchup on my ketchup. Now, this was gifted to me by one of the viewers who's watching right now, and I appreciate that, and I thank that person for that, because it's perfect for out here on the hammock and just chillaxing. Oh, this is my favorite spot at Hill's headquarters. It's become my favorite hangout place. Obviously, because I like to film here too. The lighting is perfect, the nature is perfect, the sounds are perfect. But this is a tangible item that I can copyright. So I can't just go out and start making these pillows because somebody already owns the copyright on it. As a matter of fact, there's trademarks as well. For example, Heinz. I don't see any Heinz. Heinz is a trademark, just like What the Hales is a trademark. Jeremy Hales is a trademark. My image is a trademark. I have trademarked my face. It's a trademark. Copyright can be tangible or it can be intellectual property, okay? So intellectual property means I made up a song. Now, how many people do you know on YouTube use another person's song, they get a copyright infringement, and then they cry, fair use, fair use? I'll wait. Anybody? Anybody using anybody else's copyrighted music, intellectual property, and then crying about it when they get a strike on YouTube? Anybody? Oh no, because they recognize you can't do that. The exact same intellectual property is poems. It could be a story, a book. It could, when you plagiarize a book, you understand that's a copyright infringement crime. When you plagiarize my intellectual property, my videos, you steal my video, and that's what it is. It's theft, okay? If I own a store and this is on the shelf in the store, and you take this and you shove it underneath and you walk out of the store like this, you're stealing from me. And the shelf is all of my videos. They're on a YouTube shelf. It's intellectual property that I own. It's the same as an individual coming in, stealing it without permission, without payment. Now, there are those people who I give permission to use or clips of my videos. That's appropriate. That's legal. They asked, I said yes. Anybody else? No. They're stealing. It's theft. I've given no permission at all. Now, there is something called fair use law. I have yet to ever see anyone on YouTube use fair use correctly, legally. And that even encompasses all of LawTube. All these lawyers, I've yet to see any of them do it correctly. Now, that being said, those who are doing it correctly, who have permission, that's correct, okay? I'm saying correctly without permission from the copyright owner. I've yet to ever see on YouTube anybody do it correctly. So what's more important, copyright laws or fair use laws? Obviously, copyright laws protect the person who owns it, okay? Now, your question is in the aspect, isn't it copyright infringement if she's using your videos in court? No, I want her to. I literally want her to. She's pulling my videos up on YouTube. Okay, so what's that do? Number one, it's getting me views, right? And the reality is YouTube is not about subscribers. It's not about how many likes. It's not about comments. Now, there are many people who think that's what it's like because there were days 10 years ago where it was based on comments, it was based on likes, and there are still people who think that. The algorithm on YouTube has absolutely nothing to do with comments, nothing to do with likes, nothing to do with shares. It has everything to do with, are they clicking on your video and are they watching your video? That's it. So with her actually bringing my videos in court, it does two things. Number one, it helps the growth of my video, especially if we watch the whole video in court. The video, then YouTube goes, wow, people really like this, especially this Judge Craig DeThomas. Let me show it to another judge. And then I'm going to show it to another judge. And then I'm going to show it to another judge. Maybe more judges will like this. Now, the second thing it does is proves my innocence. There are over 360 pages that she provided to the court as evidence of me cyberstalking her. And I've gone through every link on every video. My lawyer has as well. And you know what we both said? We can't wait for them to play these videos in court. All it does is prove my innocence and her insanity. Shane Thomas, or Thompson, wants to know what happened to Crook violating the civil protection order at the courthouse. Okay, so that was brought up in Ohio court, and it wasn't pursued very heavily in Ohio court. It was actually only brought up in cross-examination when Crook was asking me about violations and him violating protection orders, because he was asking me, isn't it true, Mr. Hales, that you drove by me? And I went, isn't it true that you have a civil protection order and you shouldn't have been 500 feet within me or George? And so he's already admitted guilt. So what's happening is Marion County actually has that in Florida. So remember, everything moved from Levy County and all the corruption over to Ocala, which is Marion County. And the reason why it all moved is because Rhett Cunningham, Stephen Rhett Cunningham, the son of Amanda Martin, the victim's advocate, how funny is that, of Levy County, assaulted me. Right? So that ended up going to Marion County, and everything to do with Levy County is now ending up in Marion County because Amanda Martin's role in all of this and the corruption. So all of those things that are in Marion County are still floating in Marion County. I don't have any updated communication. The last I went to Ocala to the actual, to the attorney's office, because I had to give them video and information. The last I had any contact with them, I was giving them the video of Rhett assaulting me, the rat assaulting me, as they were pursuing legal things there. And then they're also pursuing the violations in front of the courthouse as well. And so remember, this is a slow process. You know, everything was hot and heavy in Florida for a while. It was another hearing, another hearing, another hearing, another hearing. Then it's, writ of prohibition, and then, whoa, everything's on pause. And we even got an answer from the appellate courts way before we thought we would. We thought it was going to be 6 months. And the appellate courts were on it, and they're like, no, we're going to remove Judge Craig DeThomas. And LIEnette, you got till June 4th to actually give us a reason why we shouldn't, which today I believe is June 2nd as I'm filming this, which you won't be seeing this on June 2nd. But June 2nd, by the time you see this, her time is up to actually give an answer of why they should not legally remove Judge Craig DeThomas. So the whole issue of the violations at court are still in court, but it's in a different county court, and we're waiting to hear when our trial dates will be. KLP Tommy, or something like that. I mean, I can't get all the names right. Some of these are kind of tough. And let's face it, we all know I don't know how to read. So wants to know, Jeremy, with LIEnette being on SSI, she has to report any income over $60 a month. Do you think she's doing this? Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? And here's the funniest part. Every donation that's gone to her or directly to Silver Scam, every donation, it doesn't matter if it went to her or bypassed her and went specifically to Silver Scam. That $7,000 from Patty, that $3,000 from John, all of it, it's Paul. All of it has to go and be reported. Do you think she's actually reported any of it? Absolutely not. Do you think we are working on reporting it? Yes! Yes! As a matter of fact, I have my legal team working on it. I'm not working on it. My legal team is working on it. The same as my legal team is working on all the infringements on the property in Otter Creek. The same as my legal team is working on all the law breaking. The same as the legal team is, and you could go down the list, okay? There's no way in Hales she's reporting all of this. This woman finally, for the first time in her life, is receiving income and donations because not that people believe her, not that people like her, not that people love her. Like she said, 98% of people in Otter Creek love her. They hate me. And really, what's that hate mean to me? It just means they watch more of me, which means they make me more famous, which means they make me more successful, which means they can't stop talking about me, which does what for me? Think it hurts my feelings? No, not in the slightest. All it does is helps me grow, which is why people often say your haters, they're your biggest fans. The people who love me, they'll watch me this much. The people who love to hate me, they'll watch me this much. William wants to know, is Silver Scam going to stay with LIEnette when there's no money to pay him? Well, here's what I can share with you, William. I have testimony from a lot of people who want to expose Silver Scam. I have testimony from a lot of people who want to expose Thomas's. I have testimony from a lot of people who want to expose somebody else in Silver Scam's sphere of influence. But I'm not going to go that route per her request because she's going the appropriate route in all of this. So I can tell you, Silver Scam is known for dropping clients immediately when there's no more money. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that kind of makes sense, though. I mean, you're not getting paid, and if you're not getting paid, should you really be providing a service? Well, some judges could actually force Silver Scam to stay with LIEnette, and word has gotten to me that it's getting about that time where Silver Scam is seriously considering dropping her because there is no more money. And you're thinking, well, would somebody send her more money? Yeah, somebody probably would. There was somebody dumb enough to send $7,000, somebody dumb enough to send $3,000, somebody dumb enough to even give $10, $5, $1. There are dumb people. Birds of a feather flock together. As a matter of fact, I'm listening to baby. Look at this right here. There are baby birds right up there in the corner. Word has gotten back to me that it's just any day now coming where he's going to drop her because there's no money. Now, if somebody comes along and goes, hey, here's some more money, first of all, that person will never see a dime of that back. They will never get that money back. It is all gone. And so it's foolish on their part. Number two, that would be stupid on her part to accept it because she's going to lose her SSI. So taking these donations, which is one time, loses a lifetime of SSI. That's kind of dumb. Pretty bad business move. And the other thing that it does, and it's a benefit for me, is it pays her legal fees. Therefore, when I assume everything else that she has, all of the assets that the government, the federal government, can come in and seize and then sell to pay me for what she's done to me, it just means she hasn't sold anything else off. And so in the long run, all the haters that are giving her money, they're only helping me, not her. How dumb can they be?